You read De Boer's interview? Copenhagen should decide a deadline by which the architecture can be negotiated into something comprehensive. For God's sakes. I mean...
Setting the bar at an all-new low. Predictably, mind you.
We've already lost 16 years thanks to his obsequious concession to Bush and now Obama.
Harrison.
I mean, we're on the precipice of environmental catastrophe and the UN want to talk about it. I mean, we've been talking about it since '97, and all we have to show for it is more Arctic melt. We're going to hell in a handbasket, and there is nothing we can do about it. The fate of the planet rests in the hands of bureaucrats.
Not necessarily, Harrison. They surrender to impending disaster that's out of their control, clinging to adaptation to justify their inertia because they have no will. No appetite for the radical, unpopular mitigation efforts that are our last chance of averting global catastrophe. To be frank, expecting the UN to act on climate change is like asking an amputee to do the wolves. Well, look at Zimbabwe, look at Iraq. De Boer's hands are tied, and if anyone's going to brave the inevitable geopolitical fallout of aggressive action, with all due respect to the man, it's not going to be a 55-year-old career handshaker.
You state the obvious brilliantly, Paul. But if not the UN, then who?
We've got the panacea right here, Harrison. We can actually do something that has an immediate impact on temperatures. There's nothing stopping us from moving Bluebird from R&D into deployment. In effect, Pinatubo's already trialed it for us.
Pinatubo hardly constitutes the...
All I'm saying is this isn't uncharted territory. We need to reduce temperatures, we know sulfates will.
Yeah, and there's a lot we don't know. Detrimental impacts?
We can do all the modeling we like, but until we actually get it out there, we won't be able to assess the impacts on climate parameters. So if there are any adverse impacts, quite frankly, let's find out sooner rather than later.
Well, I think you're underestimating the level of institutional denial.
Well, forget the UN. The horse is bolted, Harrison. Any diplomatic effort at this stage is simply going to be too late. I mean, CDR is just a money-printing exercise. We know that. We're one step away from unstoppable sea level rises, widespread famine, catastrophic extinction. Sulfates are the only viable short-term solution. We intervene now, we stop warming in its tracks and buy time until bureaucracy and green tech catch up. And we both know, with a thermal inertia delay of 20 to 30 years, even our most valiant stabilization efforts, effective immediately, will almost certainly be too late to prevent catastrophe anyway. The bottom line is, we're going to have to deploy a geoengineering solution whether we like it or not. And when we do, we better be ready to pull the trigger.
So what are you saying? That we just defy international law and...
Which laws? We have a fleeting window of opportunity to act now while the legalities of intervention are still in status. 12, 18 months from now, we might be at The Hague. It's now or never, Harrison. So we can sit here and talk about it while New York slips into the Atlantic, or we can put money in the bank while we can. And when the UN does finally turn around and tap us on the shoulder, we'll have a proven, profitable solution that's easier to deploy. This is bigger than you and I, Harrison. This is bigger than Obama and the UN and geopolitics. This is Hamlet. This is a question of existence.
Waiting for the UN is environmental suicide.
Well, how long do we wait? Until the sea level rises 3 meters, 4 meters, till Africa's wiped out by famine? Do you think Gates is twiddling his thumbs waiting for a rubber stamp from the UN before he does what he knows is right? We're at the most profound ethical crossroads of the past 2 centuries, and we're floundering. Somebody's got to have the mettle to move us in the right direction, Harrison, and if anyone can do it, it's you.
You're right. We've got to move this off the page.
Well, white papers won't cool the planet. Quite seriously. We're in a position to deploy a global cooling scale launch 6 months from now if we put our heads down. Future generations will look back on history as quaint and idiotic. How do you want to be remembered?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
But after Copenhagen, we'll give them their last dance. Look, I've got to be at North Beach at 7, but let's touch base again before I leave.